What's up, Vegas? That's right. We're here in Vegas, and this is Real Vegas Junkeez. I'd like to introduce you to my guest. I'm very happy that he's here. What's up, Dr. J? And this is not the basketball player. This is the plastic surgeon.
I'm about a foot and a half missing from that.
How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. We're rebooting Real Vegas Junkeez, and we're really excited. And we're going to talk about you and your plastic surgery business and the name of the clinic. And I'm going to screw this up again. Atelier plastic surgery. Yeah, I knew I was going to screw that up. Anyway, you have a location here in Vegas.
Yes.
And you just opened one in Phoenix?
Yeah, so we are partnered with a medical spa down there in Phoenix called Dr. Skin, and that is our second sister location. So okay. I'm down there a couple days per month doing the Phoenix market, primarily located up here in Vegas. But yeah, we're already expanding. The Vegas location just opened about 7 months ago, but it's been amazing, and we have a goal to spread and to kind of franchise the practice. And so we've just opened our Phoenix location, so we're really excited about that.
Nice. Let's get a little peek at the Vegas office. You have a lot of style. I was looking at your Instagram, and some of the photos in there, like, this dude's a model. He's not a plastic surgeon.
Filters. It's all filters.
Love it. So what's your, on most of these shows, we always ask the guest, what's your story? How'd you get into plastic surgery? And I'm dying to hear your story, because you could have been an actor, or you're a little short for modeling maybe, but yeah. You're a good-looking guy. And how'd you get where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew that I wanted to be a doctor for a long time, but I always had this strong interest in things like design and art and architecture, and I didn't want to let go of those aspects of my interests. And so when I kind of got into medicine, and I decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a server. I'm going to serve humanity. I'm going to serve the people, and I don't want to lose this other aspect that I'm really interested in. So how can I hold on to that? Aside from going home and having a hobby. Well, I mean, the answer was plastic surgery, because it's the one specialty in medicine where you're wearing a lot of different hats. You're an artist, you're a sculptor, you're a visionary, you're a psychologist, you're a businessman, you're a surgeon, of course,
a savior in some.
And you can be a savior for sure. Mm-hmm. And so all of those aspects had such an appeal to me, to be able to hold on to that side of me. And I think you can see it reflected in my office. It's not your traditional doctor's office when you walk in. It's not some boring waiting room with ugly colors and ugly walls, and everybody there doesn't want to be there. It's almost like walking into your gay uncle's house, right? It's so well designed, and it's so chic, and that's what we wanted to convey. We wanted people to feel comfortable from the minute they walked in. They want them to feel like this is an experience. This is a brand. You're walking into elegance, and all of those things stemmed from my interests in things like design and architecture and fashion and things like that.
Yeah, I love it, and it screams of it. And I assume your clientele likes it as well. That's an obvious connection.
Yeah.
But you had a unique thing that I was just shocked about how you get new clients. Talk about how people get to you, and you just don't take anyone. You kind of
Right.
have to vet them. And what are
Right.
you vetting?
Yeah. So this all kind of stemmed from wanting to build and be something different. I never wanted to be the traditional doctor's office or traditional surgeon's office where it's all about volume. How many people can you pump through the door? Because people equals revenue equals success. And that's the model that I wanted to break. I don't define success as, well, how many sales are you doing? How much revenue are you bringing in? What's your take home? I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not how I define success. To me, success is, are you doing what you want to do? Are you doing it with the people that you want to do it with? How's the culture of where you're working at? And so when I took those thoughts and I wanted to build this thing that reflected that, the main thing that stood out to me is you've got to bring in people that you want to be around. You don't want to just bring in somebody who walks off the street. You don't want to kind of be, this guy who's trying to advertise on Groupon. You don't want to be this guy who might as well be on a late night commercial, right?
Right.
You want to be somebody that is very selective about who you bring in, and that's reflected in our intentional choice to really vet people who come in. So I don't take anybody who calls me up. I say no a lot. And the reason is because I'm very selective about who I want to operate on. Am I losing revenue? Probably. Yeah, I probably am, but that's okay because I'm doing and building what I want. And that to me is the most important thing.
Yeah, you earlier spoke about these characteristics that a plastic surgeon was, and I think you said a psychiatrist or psychologist, and I know there's a lot of who we are tied into what we look like, and there's a lot of people that have body dysmorphia, and you could be opening a can of worms, so to speak, with a potential client
Absolutely.
that's not stable, and then you become their psychologist.
Yeah, right.
So is that the kind of interview you do with them to kind of find out what kind of person they are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's really kind of a gestalt of everything. When I agree to see somebody, first of all, it's a big hurdle, because it's not like anybody can just come in and walk through my door and see me. No, it's very, very selective. There's also a fee that you have to pay. So, I mean, it weeds out a lot of people.
Right.
So the people who see me are really motivated, and they've pretty much already decided that they want something done. And now at that point, it's me kind of deciding, am I going to do something for you or am I not? And so when somebody comes to see me, it's a consultation, yeah, and I'm going through what they want to do, and I'm doing an examination, all the normal doctor stuff, but I'm really kind of seeing as a whole, who are they? What do they want? What are their expectations? Are they realistic or are they not? Can I help this person or can I not? It doesn't do anybody any good if I take somebody on as a patient and I take their money and I give them a subpar result because I couldn't deliver what they wanted. That's a nightmare for them and for me. And so I do everything I can to avoid that. So the consultation process is really yes, it's a formal medical interview and formal doctor visit, but it's really me seeing who are you, can I help you, is this a relationship that's going to work? Because when I operate on somebody, we're connected for life. It's not like I do a surgery on someone, I'm like, okay, bye. So, I'll see you never. When I operate on someone, they have my phone number. They know me very well. They have full access to me and my staff, and we are connected forever. And so I'm not going to just let anybody in. Just like you wouldn't let anybody in to be a part of your family unless you really knew who they were. So it's the same kind of principle.
Nice. And my background is marketing, and I love how you've already franchised your brand, but with that kind of hands-on connection that you have with your clients, how do you envision scaling that relationship? Because people are going to expect that from your
Right.
brand. What are your plans there?
So it all starts off with the name, Atelier, and it's not a name that was unintentional. So Atelier is French for a house of artists, or a group of artists, or a workshop of artists. And why I picked that name is it was a long-term vision. Yes, I'm doing plastic surgery, but using that name allows me to kind of convey that I'm actually building a entire workforce of people who can serve. So, what does that include? Well, that could include trainers, it could include nutritionists, it could include massage therapists, it could include holistic healers. Uh, all those things I have the option now of bringing in and adding to this brand. And so, how would we scale? Well, we would scale by going into these other arenas where we're now offering all these different array of options on our menu that have nothing to do necessarily with surgery, but they do all have to do with improving lives and serving the public. So that is how we can scale. We're going to bring in all these different arenas and all these different disciplines that are going to work cohesively to build something amazing.
Wow, 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 wow. So I'm sure then you're going to be very selective of the people that you partner with and bring into the brand as far as other doctors in other markets. They're going to have to kind of fall into your culture, which is so important today.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit more about the meat on the street, if you will. I'm a boob guy, and I love women that decide to, when it's right for them, to get breast augmentations. But some women go crazy, and it's kind of back down the body dysmorphication, whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And what do you do with that? Because, bigger is not always better
Right.
in boobs or butts.
Right. Yeah. So that is kind of a battle that has to be fought selectively. And yeah, I will get patients who come in and they want something that's, crazy, right?
Right.
So, that's fine. Patients can pick what they want. My job as a surgeon, as a doctor, is to say, okay, you can do that, but here's what could happen if you do it. The bigger the implant you pick, the more likely it is something's going to go wrong, right? And it's up to you. If you want me to put this huge ass implant in, within reason, if I feel that it's safe, then
Right.
I'll say, yeah, okay, I'll do it as long as you understand the risks. If I feel that's not safe, obviously I'm going to say, no, this is not safe. It's not right. I'm not going to do it. But if somebody wants something larger than what I recommend, it's your body.
Right.
You're giving me the opportunity to serve you. So I'm going to try to do as good a job I can and try to do everything I can to give you what you want. But you have to understand that if you go against what I recommend, there could for sure be consequences. And I even have patients sign additional consent forms if they're going to go with something larger than I want. Just to let them know that this, I'm not just saying this just because
Right.
it's easy for me.
Right.
I'm saying this because it's true, and
Right.
I'm looking out for your health.
Right. Since I'm a big fan of boobs, and there is a little backlash about the safety of them and the whole explantation of boobs, and what do you think about the technology and the safetiness of current procedures?
Yeah, so this is something that's been studied quite a bit by plastic surgeons and other medical specialties, where we've kind of looked at breast implants and other types of implants, and do these cause illness? Do they have a long-term detrimental effect in terms of causing other diseases? And all I'll say is that the data right now doesn't show that to be the case, at least not definitively. And so, this is not to put down anybody who feels like they have been harmed by their implant or they feel sick by their implant. If that's the case, and I get those patients who come in and I tell them, look, if you feel like this is making you sick and you don't like it, let's take it out. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. I'm not going to say that you're crazy or that you're wrong, because I don't believe that.
Right.
But let's take it out. But when patients come in for a consultation and they're kind of debating and they're like, well, I've heard about this, or I know somebody who's had it and they say that they got sick, what is going on? And, I tell them what I told you, which is that the data doesn't really show that there's any connection. And that's all I have to go by. I have to go by the science. I have to go by what's been studied and what we know to be true. Now, in 5 years, could that be different? Sure. But as of right now, this is the best knowledge we have. And so this is what the science says. Now you have to make your decision.
And how long have you been a practicing plastic surgeon?
So I started on my own, meaning I finished my training program, my residency in 2016. So it's been about 7 years now where I've been out on my own practicing plastic surgery. But prior to that, I had trained for an additional 7 years in plastic surgery and advanced surgery as well. So a lot of years that I've been doing this. Yeah.
Right. And so you probably have a strong feeling anecdotally about the patients that do get sick, because you probably, I'm going to guess, boobs and now the BBLs are probably the most popular surgery, or is there another surgery that's even more popular that I'm not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of it's location dependent. So, if you go to Miami, there's going to be a lot of BBLs that are done. That's kind of what they're known for. And some people say, well, in Vegas, it's a lot of breasts. I think that's true. I think that there's probably some truth to that. For me personally, I see not probably your very typical clientele. And again, I think that goes back to not just taking anybody off the street, right? So no one can just see my office and then walk in and have a consultation with me. So the people that come to see me, they have already been likely seen by, or they know somebody who's been operated by me, or they at least know another doctor that I'm close with, or they know a medical spa injector that I'm close with. So when they come to see me, they're not asking for anything crazy, or they're not asking necessarily for anything very stereotypical. So I do a lot of facelifts. And when you think of the typical Vegas person, you may not think, well, they need a facelift, because you're thinking, well, they're probably young, they're in the service industry, they're in the entertainment industry, and they're not going to want a facelift. Well, I see a lot of people who might be a little bit older, who have some advanced aging. Just today, I did somebody who's a casino executive. And so, we'll get a lot of people from that industry. And so I kind of do sort of all over the gamut. I'm doing facelifts, I'm doing eyelid lifts. But I'm also doing butt implants. I'm throwing butt implants in sometimes too. So
you have a specialization there, right?
Talk
about that.
So I've kind of sort of picked up this kind of specialization that I think a lot of surgeons might be a little hesitant to get into, and that's putting implants in the butt. And that is something that some surgeons will do, but there's a lot of, I think, fear to that. And I understand, because I used to be also a little hesitant about doing that, but we've started doing more and more of those, and we've been combining them with BBLs, which is essentially taking fat from one area of the body and then injecting it into the butt. So I found that I think this gives a better overall result. It gives a more predictable result. I can get a volume that I couldn't get with fat alone. And this also helps on more of the kind of the skinnier patients who just don't have a lot of fat to give. So, if somebody is an entertainer, or somebody is in the service industry, and usually in Vegas they're going to be in pretty good shape, right? They're not going to have a ton of fat to give, and so if they want a big butt, then I've kind of figured out a way to give it to them with a combination of different things, and it's really allowed me to kind of sculpt and produce a pretty good result.
You have a special name for that?
I'm still working on it. Yeah, you're the marketer. You give me a name.
Okay. So does the implant go under the muscle and under the glute?
So it actually goes inside the glute. So it's a little bit of a crazy surgery, because we're actually making an incision inside the glute and kind of forming this little pocket to put the implant in. It's almost like a little pita sandwich, where the glutes are the pita and the implant is the meat. And so yeah, the glute's actually a very thick muscle. It's probably about 4 centimeters or larger in thickness. So you actually have some room to kind of slice it and put the muscle in, or sorry, put the implant in. So yeah, that's kind of where we put it in. I think that's probably the safest and most concealed location. It looks the most natural that way.
And do you see that be, between that and some of the BBLs that don't look natural, this tends to have a more natural look?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely looks very natural. Especially in clothing, it looks good. It looks
Okay.
really natural. And again, I think the problem with BBLs isn't that necessarily it looks unnatural. I think the problem with BBLs is that it's unpredictable. You throw all this fat in there, and you're just kind of crossing your fingers and praying that it survives, but your body eats up a lot of it. And you spend all this time doing surgery and recovering, and you pay all this money, and not to get the result that you want. It's very deflating. And so with an implant, in my opinion, it's much more predictable, and you can certainly get a very nice result. You can get a very natural result. You can get a less natural result too if that's what you want. It's all depending on what you want. But
Right.
yeah, it's so far, so good. It's turned out really well.
So it sounds like you don't judge your potential clients. You're just looking for the ideal partner or relationship in a way, because
Right.
you're going to be in their life for their life.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
very cool. Um, you talked about eyelid surgery. We have a little clip that we got from Ray. We were talking earlier, that's a procedure that they just go under local anesthesia,
Yeah. Exactly.
and they're out in 30 minutes or done in 30 minutes. They're
Done in 30
probably
minutes.
coming out of the.
Yeah, it's a very simple, straightforward procedure, and I try to do a lot of these types of procedures where we're doing things in the office under local anesthesia. It's kind of one of the things that I'm really trying to push is trying to do things as safely as possible in the office because that's what I've seen my patients want. People don't necessarily want to undergo anesthesia and get put under. That's what they're scared about the most. They're not really scared of the surgery. They're not really scared of the recovery so much. They're scared of going under, and I can understand because it's unknown. You're totally putting your life in somebody's hands. So it gives people a lot of apprehension. So if there's an alternative to that that can be done effectively and safely, patients really jump on that. And so I've been really trying to pioneer that ever since I moved to Vegas 7 years ago. I think. I'm guessing in town, I'm probably the only guy that's doing a lot of this stuff under local anesthesia. So this is probably my bread and butter. I do this procedure hundreds of times a year. This is something that has a huge satisfaction rate and makes such a difference, and it's so easy to do. I call it the gateway procedure to plastic surgery because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to recover from. The results are usually outstanding, and patients are usually very happy. And so for people who've never had cosmetic surgery done, especially on the face, this is the perfect place to start.
And I'm very intrigued by this. Why the eyelid? What does that get? Show age?
Yeah, it does. So what I've noticed since being a plastic surgeon is I see things that a lot of people don't. When I look at somebody on the street or on TV, my mind immediately goes to plastic surgeon phase, and I see little things that kind of jump out. And one of the things that tends to jump out that most people, meaning 99% of people, don't see are the eyelids. And the eyelids are a very kind of early sign of aging. It's one of the things that I think makes people look prematurely aged. And most people don't really pay attention to it. You know, it's like, it's your eyelids. You know, well, how can that be improved? How can what's wrong with that? And I think that as I've kind of gone through my career and I've kind of train myself to look at faces, that's the one thing that kind of jumps out at me. So yeah, as you get older, you start getting this extra skin on your eyelids, your brows start dropping down, you kind of lose you lose visibility of the eyelid itself because you can get all this extra skin kind of weighing down over it, and it kind of gives you this aged or tired appearance, or can give you kind of this sad appearance. And just removing that little flap of extra skin, it does wonders in terms of making you look better. And the best part is nobody can really tell. You know, you get the procedure done, nobody looks at you and be like, oh, what'd you have done? You know, do you have surgery? No, people look at you and they're like, yeah, you look good, but you look different. You know, what, did you come back from vacation? Did you get your hair done? What's going on? And that's what I want. I want people to not know that my patients have had surgery. That's the highest compliment to me.
Wow. And what about the under eyes, the bags? Is that a similar surgery?
Yeah, so the bag's also something I do quite a bit. Same thing as we get older, the bags under our eyes start to show more. And it's because there's fat that's sitting in our eye sockets, and the fat starts to pooch out a little bit more as we get older, and the skin starts getting crepier and starts drooping down. So yeah, that's another sign that that we're aging or that we look tired. And so that's something that, same thing, I can rejuvenate that. I can make that look better. And oftentimes I can do that same thing with a local anesthetic procedure in my office. So it's also something that's easy to recover from.
I might have a referral for you.
All right, bring it on. Bring it on.
It's a guy as well.
I do a lot of guys. Actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So talk a little bit more about you've talked about your culture. Expand on the community that you want to create with the culture and what you're doing.
Yeah, so the community to me consists of two parts. One is who are the people you're working with, you know, day by day, who are you working with? And the next is who are the people that are your clientele, that's you're inviting to become part of your extended family. And so, you know, that culture has to be people who have the same values as you, and people who want to work the same way you do, and people who see the same good that you see. And so the people that I work with, I want them to have that mentality. I want them to have that mentality of, I want to serve. I want to give. Happiness comes from giving, not from receiving. And I want people to have that mentality if they're going to be part of my brand, my culture. So that's really what I'm looking for. And then in terms of the clientele, you know, I want people who are grateful, and I want people who kind of understand that, you know, getting a cosmetic surgery, it's almost like buying a Ferrari. You know, only a select few people can do it. 90% of the world probably can't afford to really go have somebody cut on their face for thousands of dollars to make them look better. So if you have that ability, you're doing well in life. And I want people who come to see me to realize that, and I want them to be grateful that they have that opportunity. And I think once they're grateful, they're invariably happier, and they are more realistic, and they will be a good addition to our family. And because we've been able to select those patients, we've been able to create this community.
I love it. And do you have any intention, or do you already do it? Do you bring them all together? Like, do you have a Christmas party, or do you do anything like that?
We will. You know, we're going to kind of start building more events where we're going to kind of bring the community together. Right now, given that we're a relatively new office, the goal is kind of finding those right matches in terms of how do we want to expand. And then we're starting to, you know, talk a little bit about business strategy and things like that. But, you know, what's the next step? Who are we bringing in next to kind of expand our repertoire? So we've already brought in massage therapists. We're talking with nutritionists and personal trainers right now. So, you know, the door is open for that collaboration to start. And so that workshop, that house of artisans ready to serve, that's being built.
Yeah, I love it. So I feel like most, and this is very a generic statement, I feel like most plastic surgeons are completely opposite of you. You sound like an artist. You sound like you're doing it for the right reasons. If there's a right or wrong, I don't know. But I do always have this question for plastic surgeons, male plastic surgeons, is you're creating beauty in a sense in body parts and faces and as whatnot. Do you get desensitized from the amount of boobs you see and the
Yeah.
amount of butts you create and all this beauty you've created? How do you separate that from real life?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll give you a story. So when I was in college, I lived in a house with a bunch of my friends, and one of my friends got a job at Cold Stone Eatery. Is that what it's called? The ice cream place,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah, Cold Stone Creamery. Yeah. So he got a job at Cold Stone Creamery, and the first couple weeks he was so excited. He's like, "Man, I get to sling ice cream all day. I can eat all the ice cream I want." But then after 2 weeks, he was like, "Man, I never want to see an ice cream cone again." He got desensitized to it. He got so
Right,
sick of it.
right.
He's like, "I never want to eat this again." Now, I'm not there in terms of my perception of body parts and anatomy. I have been desensitized a little bit, I guess, in the sense that I'm not a 12-year-old boy anymore, and so these things don't really faze me. But you can always appreciate something beautiful, right? You can always appreciate a fine work of art or a fine sculpture or a nice piece of clothing. So you never lose that appreciation. And that's where I think that artistic side and that side that's very interested in design and fashion, architecture, that side is always still there, and that side appreciates. And so I never lose sight of that. That keeps me kind of grounded and always appreciative of the beauty that all people bring. You don't necessarily have to have the perfect breast or the perfect stomach or the perfect face. There's beauty in everything.
Right, right. That's awesome, man. So, considering your work ethic and how you get new clients, for people that see this, will they be able to go say something like, "I saw you on Real Vegas Junkeez. Is there any way I can get an interview with you?" Or
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that's something that we can entertain on a case by case basis. I invite everybody. If you want to talk to me about plastic surgery, I'm always happy to talk. I'm not promising anything. I'm not promising that I'm going to do surgery. But if you wanna come talk to me, if you're concerned about something, my door is always open. I'm not an elitist. I'm not here to close the door on anybody. Yes, I'm selective about who I bring a knife to, but if anybody wants to chat or if anybody wants to ask me any questions, yeah, I'm always open, and I'll help in any way that I can.
yeah, yeah, because I think, like I said a moment ago, you're, I think, unique in this market and in the plastic surgeon marketplace. So I think people will be drawn to you, and it would be great to have a new funnel of good people,
Right.
the type of people that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
And so people, if you think that you fit with this guy's mindset, reach out. Did you put his info up, Amber? What happened to George? There we go. They can find you through your IG,
Absolutely. Yeah.
or they can call your office, I guess.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to reach me. I'm not hard to find. So yeah. Anybody who wants to can feel free to reach out, and I'll help what I can.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about your location or what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I just kind of want people to understand that, number one, I'm here to serve. I'm here for the people of Las Vegas and surrounding. I do a lot of out of state and even international people, but I'm here for the city, and I'm here to serve. So anybody who wants to come see me, again, I'll help how I can. I'll always try to give my time and give my expertise, and just kind of, I want people to understand that if you're in that position where you can even be thinking about realistically getting plastic surgery, I want you to stop and take a moment and realize you're in a good position. You're in a very enviable position where you can spend thousands of dollars potentially to make yourself look better. So be grateful is my kind of mantra and my advice to people.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, folks, we're back. Real Vegas Junkeez.
Yeah.
We're here with Dr. J. And until next time, guys.